everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 13 and compare it against the iPhone 13 Pro and see if this particular phone is still worth buying in 2024, if either one of these are worth buying, and which one is more worth buying than the other one. Now, the first thing I'll definitely tell you is if you want to pick up either one of these devices, links will be down in the description. You can get that from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, I will tell you the iPhone 13 series, in my personal opinion, was probably one of the best performing, devices that, Apple has ever made. And I do think for the most part, these devices are still worth buying, and Apple really dominated and knocked it out of the park with these particular phones. They came out back in 2021. If you're still planning on buying and purchasing these particular devices, I think you can't really go wrong with either one of these. Now, specifically on the outside of these particular, panels, on the front side of the iPhone 13, you are maintaining and getting a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. And this panel is pretty good for the most part. I do think if you're going through and buying any sort of panel, this one looks pretty good. I think even when it first came out, it was still pretty solid. The only issue is that it is a 60 hertz panel. So this in and of itself can be kind of an annoying thing if you're going through and buying this particular phone. But I do think beyond that, it's a very, very nice thing that you can just go through and buy a phone like this and have this type of panel on it, because it actually is like a pretty good looking phone when it kind of comes down to it. Now, with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, on the other hand, this particular phone is giving you a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So this is a significantly bigger panel and a better panel than the iPhone 13. It's also a 120 hertz screen as well, which is another very nice thing going on for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Like if you're going through and buying any sort of device, I like the fact that that particular phone is giving you that type of capability right out the gate, because it is a very, very nice thing to have. If I'm going through and buying any sort of a phone, I like the fact that my phones are going to be giving me this type of capability of like solid performance, solid experience, regardless of what I'm doing. And this is a very, very nice thing going on for this particular device. It's not perfect, but I will tell you that is a very, very nice thing going on for that particular phone when it comes down to it. Now, on top of that, another big thing going on for both these phones on the bottom and the sides, they're built relatively kind of the same. Like with the iPhone 13, you're getting this kind of like standard aluminum sides. With the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you're getting this, reflective material. That is something I actually like a lot about my iPhone, 13 Pro Max, and even with the 14 Pro Max, because they removed it on the 15 Pro Max. So this in and of itself was another kind of weird, annoying thing going on for this particular phone when it kind of comes down to it. On the back sides, first of all, you're getting lightning ports on both for the charging port. On the back sides, you're getting the standard glass back on the iPhone 13. The iPhone 13 Pro Max, you're getting this frosted glass back. So these things in and of itself is another very nice thing going on for both these phones when it kind of comes down to it. You're getting dual camera setup on the 13, triple camera setup on the 13 Pro Max, wireless charging on both, MagSafe capability on both as well. And overall, I'm a very, very big fan of the way both these phones have kind of held up. There's not really necessarily a perfect phone here in my personal opinion, but there are very, very good reasons why the iPhone 13 Pro Max is an overall better phone. Things like the ProMotion display, the frosted glass back, a bigger battery, things like that are going to give you, I guess, more of a reason to pick up something like the iPhone 13 Pro Max rather than buying something like the iPhone 13. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. Now, in terms of the performance between both, another very big thing you're going to have to keep in mind here is that between both these devices, you're going to be getting, really good experience between both. But, when it comes down to the, price tags, I'm going to tell you the price tag of the 13 Pro Max is still significantly more expensive than something like the iPhone, 13. So it's going to be at least like an extra like a couple $100, maybe like $100 to $200 more to buy a 13 Pro Max. So if you're buying an iPhone 13 for like $349, the 13 Pro Max is probably going to cost around $549, $500-ish to $600. So once again, kind of keep that in mind as well. Like if you're wanting the cheaper phone, then you're going to have to go and buy something like the iPhone, 13 in this particular case. So keep that in mind. I would say the cameras is also like another pretty big difference here too. With the iPhone 13, you're going to be getting a dual camera setup, a 12 megapixel wide and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. With the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you're going to be getting a triple camera setup, a 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel telephoto, then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. So this is going to be another one of those situations where you're going to look at both these phones and you're going to be like, well, clearly something like the iPhone, 13 Pro Max is going to be giving you a way better camera than the iPhone 13. So this in and of itself is another very, very big thing to keep in mind here, because if you're going through and getting, some sort of a device, I do think the iPhone 13 Pro Max is going to be giving you a significantly better phone from that camera perspective. For one, you're still maintaining the same resolutions you can film in, but you are getting that you're getting that telephoto lens on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is a very, very nice touch. If I'm going through and buying any sort of phone, I like the fact that that phone is going to be giving me that solid camera, because it is a very nice camera that you're going to be getting on that particular device. So this in and of itself is another very big thing to keep in mind. I'd also say with things like the iPhone 13 in general, it's still a very good phone. Inside of those social media applications and like all those other apps that you're going to mess around with, you're going to be getting a very, very good, solid experience on that particular phone too. But if I'm going to pick up one, it definitely for sure is going to be the iPhone 13 Pro Max. That is going to be a significantly better camera for sure. So that kind of covers it up here as well. Now, some other big things to keep in mind here too with both. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is basically going to be giving you, there could be a chance this phone may last longer than the iPhone 13. There's been some rumors about it, but for the most part, I'm going to, just kind of state that as of this point, both phones in terms of software support are going to be lasting roughly around the same exact amount of time. So if you're wanting the phone that's going to be lasting a long amount of time, there's not really going to be a phone here that's going to be giving you that. It's basically going to be giving you the same exact experience that you'd probably expect between both these phones from that particular perspective. So I think that's a really big thing to keep in mind. Like if you're wanting the phone that's going to be giving you the longer lasting phone in every single way, neither one of these phones are going to be giving you that. They're both going to be lasting roughly around the same exact amount of time when it kind of comes down to it, which I'm not really mad about, I'm not really complaining about. And I do think if I'm going through and buying any sort of device, I like the fact that both these phones can give me that type of capability just right from there. So definitely from that side, that kind of covers it up there as well. Not really that much to complain about there, in my personal opinion. Now, from the performance side, this is also another very interesting thing. The performance is very, very similar between both as well. So both phones are going to be giving you that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it. Now, the iPhone 13 is going to be giving you 4 gigabytes of RAM. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is going to be giving you 6 gigabytes of RAM. So if you're going through and buying any one of these particular devices, you are definitely going to be buying a phone like the iPhone 13 Pro Max because that one is going to be giving you an overall better experience. But I do think the iPhone 13 is a very, very good phone as well. Like I do feel like for the most part, if you're going through and buying a sort of phone like this, I think the iPhone 13 is going to be giving you a very good experience and very good performance. Realistically speaking, no matter what you're going to do with either one of these phones, there's going to be really, really nice things going on with it. The 13 Pro Max, though, I think is going to be the one that's probably going to be the better, faster one for a majority of people. One is giving you more RAM, which that in and of itself is a very nice thing. But on top of that, with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, it's also going to be giving you a ProMotion display. Now, I love ProMotion, and if I'm going through and buying a phone, I'm definitely going to make sure it has a 120 hertz panel nowadays. But that is another cool thing going on for this particular device as well. The fact that you're going to be getting this smoother refresh rate, which is going to make the phone feel and perform that much faster when you're actually going through and messing around with it. So overall, if I'm going to be honest, I definitely do think both these phones are very, very good. And there's not really a phone here that I'd look at and be like, oh my goodness, this is like a terrible phone or this is not a good phone at all. Both these phones are very, very good. I will tell you though, when it kind of comes down to it, if I'm going to pick up one, it's probably definitely going to be the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Although it is a bigger phone that is significantly more expensive, you're still going to be getting a phone that's going to be better in almost every single way on the 13 Pro Max, from the battery life, from the ProMotion, from the build quality, from the cameras. Every single thing about the 13 Pro Max is going to be better. But if you're on a budget and if you want a 13 Pro Max, 13 Pro Max-esque type of device, then definitely go for the iPhone, 13. I think it's a very good phone, and you can't really go wrong with that phone either. So that pretty much covers it up here. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.